Cosmicism, a philosophical theory created by many writers, but most known for contributing to it through his extensive works, would be that of H.P. Lovecraft. At its base level, Cosmicism is the universal understanding that there is no recognizable singular divine presence through any religion. It is also the understanding that humans are insignificant in the grander cosmic scene, being a species that is projecting their own ideas and perception of reality and their importance upon the rest of the universe and cosmos. The human race will disappear, other races will appear and disappear in turn, the sky will become icy and void, pierced by the feeble light of half-dead stars, which will also disappear. Everything will disappear. What human beings do is just as free as the free motion of elementary particles. Good, evil, morality, feelings. Pure Victorian fictions. Only egotism exists. Considering that Lovecraft and other philosophical horror writers make out humanity to be on a similarly significant level as that of ants or minor insects, you can see why not many people study and believe in it. And while it is very similar to the concept of nihilism, Cosmicism tends to emphasize the futility and insignificance of humanity, whereas nihilism tends to focus on rejecting the notion of there being a divine or higher purpose, therefore maintaining a version of the status quo. However, today I want us to focus on the power that Cosmicism has in fiction. If you have some time right now, pause this video and have a think. Have you read anything in which a character, situation, or entire story ends in hopelessness? Either the hopelessness in the character succeeding, or the situation itself, or the story takes away the power of the narrative somehow, but you can't quite explain how. Or in a horror story seems like it cannot be fully grasped, but you understand its power, its purpose. Comment below if you have, and in which story or scene. I'd love to know. It's because Cosmicism, as a concept in fiction, has a unique gift at deliteralizing that fiction, that character, that scene. Lovecraft, in his fiction, employs a suggestive and deliteralizing language to convey the protagonist's limited understanding of these, and the confusion and fear that eventually develops into existential horror as they realize humanity's fragile and threatened position in the cosmos. By using suggestive language rather than literal, words that describe vague shapes and feelings rather than concrete terms, establishes a sort of numinosity. But rather than a religious or divine sense, it is invoking that of a supernatural, of the mysterious, primarily the mysterious. Weird fiction author China Miéville asserts that this obsession with numinosity under the everyday is at the heart of weird fiction. Breaking away from folkloric tradition, the entities and creatures and beings that Lovecraft explores during his narratives are wildly different to Western or Eastern mythological concepts, anchoring themselves in Cosmicism. They are usually amorphous to the point of being indescribable, numinous elements within the fiction. China Miéville also states that these numinous elements are so strong in his fiction that the plot becomes secondary to them, deliteralizing the fiction itself, as if the stories and the characters themselves are merely created to act as a sort of framing device for these cosmic elements. In Lovecraft's most famous fiction, The Call of Cthulhu, he does not write with giving a concrete, accurate description of Cthulhu, but rather, as he called it himself, giving a general outline of the whole. Literary critic Mark McGurl states that it is very typical of H.P. Lovecraft to do this, by stating the impossible degree of being able to describe such a being, and then attempting a verbose, linguistically creative attempt at doing so. Hartman, another literary scholar, calls this a deliteralizing gesture, stating a being, concept, a cosmic entity using language that is atypical of science fiction and horror writers allows us to start to see how Cosmicism has a special function in this kind of fiction. There is a gap present between the perceived thing and the impossibility of comprehension. Furthermore, it is not only the beings themselves that are subject to being deliteralized in this fiction. Lovecraft also employs this technique in presenting alien items, environments, cities, ideas, and perspectives in describing or outlining non-static elements such as events that occur in relation to or because of the deliteralized beings. A clear example of how Lovecraft deliteralizes such an event can be found at the end of The Shadow over Innsmouth, when the unnamed narrator of the story looks back at the hordes of deep ones that have been chasing him through the town and are now just lost track of him. He states that what I saw or fancied I saw was a disturbing suggestion of undulant motion far to the south, a suggestion which made me conclude that a very very large horde must be pouring out of the city along the level of Ipswich Road. When Lovecraft puts forth these deliteralized descriptions and constantly keeps the cosmic entities removed from the possibility of being fully perceived and comprehended by humans, he decentralizes human perception and human perspective in the meeting between the cosmic and the earthly. As humans are thus unable to attain a deep understanding about these elements, it is uncertain to which degree science can help them in this, and therefore how much the reader can understand. For although it is stated in the opening paragraph to the Call of Cthulhu that the piecing together of dissociated knowledge will open such terrifying vistas of reality, it is possible that these vistas of reality are nothing more than implications and probabilities suggested by scientific findings or accounts, and not certain and unquestionable facts. These paradoxical elements bring about this deliteralization, as well as establish a status quo that perfectly represents Cosmicism, although some may call it a romanticized version of nihilism. Cosmicism and its deliteralizing function plays a major role in these kinds of stories, and could in many others if the writer wishes to explore these ideas and concepts. I think it's a very intriguing concept to explore in my fiction, and it's something I'm doing with my Warped World role-playing universe too. So, what should you take away from this? Firstly, Cosmicism can be used in a deliteralizing fashion in order to emphasize its own cosmic numinous elements, creating a paradox in which the narrative, characters, and the audience cannot fully grasp the meaning and understand these elements, forcing them to fill in those gaps. Second, that philosophical theories can be lent upon and utilized in fiction in order to push your writing into unfamiliar and or new territories. It could even help you in your descriptive writing by enabling you to focus on what matters for the story, rather than trying to find that perfect description. Leave the audience with an imperfect one. Thirdly, studying it and better understanding it can help you become a more informed writer and a more appreciative reader. So, a little challenge for those who want to try. Write a scene or a short story in which you use these concepts in order to purposefully deliteralize an element of your story. See where it takes you and how it makes you reflect on your writing, and share it in the comments below for others to see. This is why I make these videos, to share things and ideas with you on which I am passionate about, have done so much reading or investigation upon, and genuinely interest me. And also, please like this video if you did like it, dislike it and let me know why if you didn't, and don't forget to subscribe for more future content. I'll get back to editing now, and I'll see you in the next one.